How you doing, everybody? Randy Richard in the shop. Today we're going to go over some tools from the Bokum Tool Company of Detroit, Michigan. They're Bokum Boring Bars. If you've never seen one, stick around and you'll find out about them. How you doing, everybody? Randy Richard in the shop. Today we're going to go over some Bokum Boring Bars. This is a long one, but they're kind of unique. They're two-piece. The cutter head unscrews from the bar itself. They're sharpenable. They're high-speed steel. They have a unique shape to them. If you've never seen one before, we'll do some close-ups of them. And we'll sharpen them. We'll do it on the surface grinder with some jigs I've acquired. And we'll go over to the lathe and we'll do some cutting with them. They're pretty unique if you've never seen one before. Stick around and let's go over here to the surface plate behind me and we'll go over them and you'll see what they're all about. Okay, Bokum Tool Company. They're up in Detroit, Michigan. They're still making tools. And you can go online, they have a website, and see their stuff. Anyway, it all started with me with this. I got this from Don Cossett, passed this on to me. And I never really looked into it too much, but somebody showed one. And I can't remember who it was, but somebody showed one somewhere, whether it was on Instagram or Facebook or something, or video. Anyway, and I made a comment that, oh, you know, I think I have one of those. And this is a AB1. What it is a sharpening jig for Bokum boring bars. For the smaller ones. So that's what it is. Anyway, I made some comments, and Dan Dobbs sent me the instructions for this one here. And basically, it's the same instructions for all their jigs here. Anyway, so he sent me that for the instructions, which thank you, Dan. This is very helpful, actually. So that's where it all started. But I didn't have any boring bars. So Dan Dobbs there, he sent me some boring bars. This one is ends up being almost 11 inches. And then these are 5/16 shanks. These are 3/8 shanks. These are actually Criterion ones, but they're made basically the same way as a Bokum. And what's unique about the Bokum is their style of head on their boring bar, of how it's been ground. Now, these are all one-piece ones. These larger ones are two-piece. You have your bar, and then you have your head, your cutting head, which is pretty slick. You don't have to replace your bar all the time. So thanks to you again, Dan, for sending these. Another fellow, Brian Toe, he made some comments and sent me some pictures, and he has some of these also. He might have been the one who showed it. I can't remember, but I'm in contact with both of these guys. So since then, I've been on eBay, and I picked up a couple of additional heads here. I'll show all these closer. This is for like a grooving type tool, internal grooving. This is a standard one, but it's carbide. And it sold it like this, but I don't think they knew that this unscrewed. This is a very short boring bar. But yeah, so I broke them loose and such. But so those I picked up on eBay. And this is okay, we're going to go over it, but this is a style B one. And those are basically brand new. And I picked up this set here. One of those make an offer things, and well, the folks took my offer. which was a sweet deal for me. And it's a very nice set of, it's not 100% complete, but it was a very nice set of boring bars. And this 5/16 shank ones are size 1, and it has to do with the head size. These little ones here, these are 1s, it's very small. And then this is a 2, a little bit bigger. I don't have a 3, but this is for 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s, and 8s. And this one, this is a short one, a short 8, and this was a short 7. And then you have your, and then this is an adapter, 3/4 shank here for 3/8. For you can put a 3/8 bar in there. So what we got is there are different styles, A, B, and a C style head. And I'll zoom in here and show you up close about all that. We'll talk about that. Also, what I picked up on eBay was another sharpening jig. This one's quite a bit, this goes in here. This one's quite a bit larger, and it's a little different on how that one, they both work basically the same way. It's just how they're set up, it's a little bit different. But this one's really made for size 4 heads up to 12s, I think it is. They make a lot bigger ones. Now I don't have the instruction sheet on this one, but it's basically the same as the small one of how it works. So we'll talk about all that. Let's talk about the little one first. So this here, let's talk about the little one. Quick overview wise, these jigs are designed to go on a surface grinder or a tool and cutter grinder. You could also do it, but they talk about using them on a surface grinder. And this is the holder. You put your boring bar in there. Lock it down, obviously. And then you slip it in here. This is a 3/4 shanked. Then you have a little bar here, which is for setting your boring head up against. And you are going to be grinding this right in this area with a surface grinder. It has a diamond that comes with it for surfacing your wheel, for dressing the wheel. And what you do is you come in, you dress your wheel, leave it that height, and just move over here, and you've already set this, and you come in at the appropriate angle, you've locked it down, and you come in and grind that. And you have a new edge. And like I said, you have a continuous edge going around here. You have over 180 degrees on a new one. It's 210 or 20 degrees of angle that you'll be able to grind and resharpen. And this is down on the magnet, flush up against a fence here, and you just grind them. It's a really pretty easy method here. Now that holds 3/8. This is the one it came with. Then I made one right here that I made another one that will hold. Screw those in a little bit. That will hold the 5/16 bars. Now they say you can buy them in all different sizes: 1/2 inch, 5/16, 1/4 inch, 12 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 8 millimeter. So I just made one for 5/16, right? That go in there, hold the 5/16 bar for doing the same thing. Pretty simple deal there. And the big jig, I mean, it's quite a bit larger, comparably wise, quite a bit larger. It's base here is almost 9 by a little over 5 1/4. Very nice. They're very nicely made. They're all cast iron. This one came with the so this basically works the same way, but this is mounted at an angle, and the different heads, which we'll look at, mount against here. I don't know why they didn't put a hole over here myself, so you could swing this so it's at 90 degrees like the small one. Like the small one's mounted at 90 degrees. I don't know why they didn't, but anyway, I'll probably end up doing that. And you'll see why here as I go through the different styles. So really, right now this is set for a B-type style. Anyway, it has a diamond, and like I said, it has what it's set at from the surface plate or the base of this up. You set that at that specific height here. This one's 1.905 inches. This one's 1.285, the small one. And you lock that in place, and you come in and you grind it. This one's been hand ground, and so it's all messed up, and this one we're going to grind as a demonstration. So it comes with this one here. These are adapters that go in this piece, and I have adapters here. And these adapters, they're stepped for different bars to sit in and sit on those steps. I have no bars that fit in this one. This one's an 8, and it's still too small for the smallest step on that one. But this bar I have in here, this one here is a 7, and then the 8 also fits in this adapter here. But this one also, and then the smaller ones go in this one here. This one holds 2 sizes, I think it is. So this one holds 8, 7, 6, I think it was, and then this one's 4 and 5. Yeah, fours go in there, and then the 5s. And then they all fit in this holder here. And then I made one. I also made one to hold the 5/16 bars in here. I'm probably going to make one to hold the 3/8 bars also. Oh, okay. So this is what we're going to be using. Anyway, that goes in there. Nice little holes to tighten it up with. And that goes in there, and then you set it and lock it down and grind it. It came with different screws, and the different screws fit in here. They're the socket head screws, and the heads have to go down here low enough so you don't grind the heads. So some of them have been turned down. I ended up having to make one. It was missing because of the size here for the 6s. I had to make one. I just turned the heads down to make them work. It's kind of nice. It has the screws here, screw holes here to hold all your screws, to hold your different heads on. And then these other holes here, I figured out that they're for Allen wrenches. So we're going to look at these heads, and this is a 6A, a 6B, and we'll grab the 7C. So here's a A and a B and the C. We'll get them all in the frame together, I guess. See here the different styles. Like I said, this is an A, B, and a C. And the A has a front rake angle on it here as it's going in for boring. It's also kind of rounded here. They've taken a little bit off of the nose and have a back rake here, back clearance angle here as the boring bar goes in. They say this is kind of a finishing one, I believe. This one here is flat across the front, so if you need to flat bottom a hole or or shoulder, you have this flat across the front, and it also is a little relieved on the nose, so it has a kind of a radius here for a larger radius cutting. I think this is one that I think is the finishing one. This one was like the roughing one, but anyway, it has the flat across the front, not this angle here. And then the C one, this is, I've measured this, is actually 60 degrees. You could actually cut threads with this, and it has a sharp point. It's been formed to a sharp edge. So, you could bore with it, but also what mostly they talk about this one, going in and being able to chamfer on this edge here on the front of a hole and reaching around the back and back chamfer without removing your part. Go in, over, and cut. That they don't really say it's a threading tool, but I don't see a reason you can't thread with it. So you could internal thread with it, front and back chamfering, and then you have your other two. So those are basically the three types. And this one here, this is a B. Now this one here is a B style flat bottom, but it's carbide. And so here, now it's not carbide the whole way or carbide the whole thing. The head's high-speed steel, I think, but it has a carbide insert for not quite 90 degrees. When it was new, it was probably about 90 degrees. You can see here it ends right here. So this is all carbide. So there's a lot of boring bar left in this one. But I'd have to use a silicone cardboard or a diamond wheel. Somebody's ground this one a little tiny bit. This one here is also carbide, quite large. It's a grooving tool type of setup. You can see here, square, flat on the bottom, or you can flat bottom a big hole, but it has quite a bit here, almost a half an inch sticking out, and about not quite a quarter of an inch width there. Now these two here, these are both 6Bs, or no, I'm sorry, this is an A, and this is a B, I'm sorry, A and a B. And I touched these ones up already, and they came out pretty nice. This one was, somebody had touched with a hand grind, and so it needed a little, it wasn't quite the same as their hand grind, so I had to clean it up. Yeah. Anyway, kind of a slick way to sharpen things. Anyway, we're going to go over to the grinder, and we'll sharpen that 7 one I have in there, and show you how that works. So there's a setup up here on the grinder. Now you have to put a 45-degree bevel on your wheel and a flat. So I've already done that. I did it a little bit more than halfway, so it's a little less than a quarter of an inch, a flat. Now, first thing first, we need to put a 45 on the edge of a wheel. And since I don't have one already set up, we'll be doing this right here. And just like that, and we'll cut a 45 on there. How to do it. Alright, on the surface plate here, we need to set the height of the diamond, and it's engraved right here 1.905, and that's from the base here. So I've already set my height gauge at 1905, and I already have it set. There's 2 set screws, one on the side to lock it, and there's one underneath here to adjust the height, which is kind of nice. So what I did is I just hung it over the side here, put my Allen wrench in the bottom, and just barely had some tension on that so it stays in position, and brought my height gauge over until I just hear it barely touching, scratching. So we're all set on our height. You go over here, set where you want to have the diamond, and you dress. You will dress. We're gonna do this. So we're gonna dress that wheel. And then we just leave the height. That's it, on your height. Then you bring your cutter down. Now, this is kind of subjective, but you rotate it up basically until it just touches. Now this one's been hand ground and it's kind of in tough shape. So we're gonna go through and grind it, and you have the tool up against that stop. And with the way the stop is, it matches the angle on the boring bar head. And you come up until that 45 just touches the angle on the boring bar already. Basically, that's now this one's been kind of messed with, so it's not quite right. So we're going to take a little bit off. Then you rotate it a little bit more because it's not right. Now these holes here are for tightening this up, and I find it nice. You just put that Allen wrench in that hole and give it a little tiny bit, very controlled rotation. So you just do it a little bit. There we go, we'll take it out. And they say to strope it with a piece of wood. There's a very fine little burr, but we'll just do it. You can see where somebody hand ground a little bit on that face on this one. They touched it here and hand ground it a little bit. You can see the there, but it's just minor. I don't think they touched the front really, but they may have a little bit. Actually, that with the wood, it actually works quite well. Anyway, nice finish for grinding, and it's a new tool ready to go. And then the screw in the center. Remove that, and it comes out. You can see where somebody else has ground it right in here because they had the angle quite a bit off. Anyway, it comes out very, very nice, and that's a nice boring bar head ready to go. So that's the operation, and the small jig is the same way. It's just this is at a different angle, and you do it all the same way. Butt it up against there, set your height with the diamond, and lock it in and grind it. All right, we got the boring bar set up, the one we just sharpened. So this is a H7B, and these all have a hex hole broached in them, even though a screw passes through, but just down to the hex, and that's to tighten the boring head on the bar. Now, one of their suggestions when selecting what bar to use, you have the center line of your part, or your hole, right? And the center line of your bar. Well, they want the bar diameter to be more than half of the hole, or half the rate, half the diameter, right? More than that. So they want this to extend past the center line, over to this side of your part. So, you don't want to use a tiny little boring bar where the whole boring bar is over here in half of the diameter. You want it to be larger than half the diameter. So you're using a bigger bar for a bigger hole. Anyway, that's one of their suggestions, and that's probably a very good suggestion. So let's cut this. We're running around 950, 10,000 inches per 10,000ths per rev will do, and let's do a 20,000 depth of cut. We're going to squirt, since this is an aluminum tube, we're just going to put a little WD in there. There's the coil. Nice chip, nice coil, but still nice. Oops. Very nice finish. Very, very smooth. Very nice. I think we have a successful sharpening, and very sharp tool. You touch it, it's very sharp. Now this has a fairly sharp point. There's not like too much of a radius on there. It's fairly sharp. So it's not going to be a glass. It's not going to be the glass shiny finish. I mean, it's shiny, but it's very, very smooth. But you do have the slight machine turning marks. But we use a large. We'll change over. Let's try the larger radius tool and see how it goes. So to change this, it's just that simple. Put an Allen wrench in there. This one I had to grind quite a bit since it had been hand ground pretty bad. I had to really clean it up. It still could use a little bit more. And we'll realign it to be on center. Do the same speed, same cut, actually. Now when I touched off, I was within 2 thousandths of where the other tool touched off. So all went inside there. Smoother feeling finish. Yes, quite a bit. I can't feel the machine marks or anything like that now. Very nice, very nice, very sharp. Very, very, very sharp. I mean, I like these boring bars, especially. We'll see how they do in some maybe some softer steel eventually here, and a little update, a little addendum to the Bokum boring bars. So this is a number 11 I picked up on eBay. 11B. So the B is for flat bottom, you know, boring to a shoulder, or you know, a blind hole type of thing. This one was brand new. I took off the covering, and one thing I want to note about the bars is that the proper grinding angle, this angle here, this angle here is through the center line of the bar. So you grind this and wear, you're always grinding back to the center line, along the center line. That's a critical. That's what the jig's for, is to maintain that angle to center line. You're holding it like this, so this is basically parallel with the plate, and you're coming in with your wheel and grinding this way, but maintaining the angle through the center line or center axis of the bar. I just wanted to show that. But this is a really large one, so I didn't have a boring bar for it. So this is what I came up with. Now this is an odd size again, but this is 14 threads per inch, where the other ones are 20 threads per inch, and an odd diameter. And so I made a short bar here, and then the boring head goes on this end. I put a little taper in there. This is an 1.25 inch stock, and I just put a little bit of taper in there to match the smaller size of this. And then this end, I bored out, drilled and tapped a 3/4 10, and made a 1 inch piece of 1 inch stock, a base for the bar. My quick change tool post boring bar holder has a 1 inch bore in it, so this can go right in the tool holder, and I can build whatever length ones of these I might want. Maybe I'll build a shorter one, or another longer, or a longer one even. But there you go, built up boring bar for the Bokum head. Anyway, this came out really, really good. This should work really nice. I hope you guys enjoyed the Bokum boring bars. I'll be using these fairly often, I think. They work really nice. They're very solid, and nice finish, especially on softer stuff, you know. But yeah, very happy with that. Very happy. So thanks, you guys. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and support the channel. You know, buy a scribe, buy a dovetail cutter, support the channel. Sure appreciate it. All right, thanks, you guys, and thanks for watching.